Hi guys, thank you very much for coming to watch me talk about some of these things. The first thing's weird is they've given me a thing with a big red button on it, so I might accidentally press that. So we'll find out what happens. So my name's Matt Ash and I work for a company called MediaZoo. I come from a learning design background and I'm here because for 10 years I made learning content, a lot of digital content, and some of it I kind of regret. And I now run a team and a business, and what we're doing is trying to undo that and leave the industry in a better place. At MediaZoo, we work with businesses like yours to kind of reimagine your learning strategy, and then we're a production business as well, so we work on design, development, and implementation of content, and that's blended solutions. And hopefully that's the last time I use a buzzword like blended. But yeah, so we make training content. We're very much like your Leos, your Kineos, your Brightwaves. We're just a lot smaller and hopefully a little bit different. And what I want to do today is kind of take you through a bit of our philosophy and approach rather than just kind of a salesy thing. Feel free to stop me, ask questions, challenge, heckle, shout, say it's rubbish, whatever you want. I'm always up for those kind of conversations. But what I wanted to really talk about is how we use design and deliberate thinking and approach to transform culture with L&D, because L&D is such a powerful tool when we get it right and also when we get it wrong. So kind of place I wanted to start was the eye of the storm. And Rob covered this earlier in his great presentation, if you saw it a half hour ago. The world we're in. We've got the productivity issues with the sessions today are looking at. You've got the culture and kind of like wars with talent. How do you get people? How do you retain them? How do you grow them? How do you keep them? And then you've got all your external forces, politics, pop culture things that are happening. And the world is a pretty challenging place. And what happens when the world's a challenging place is we start to retreat to safety. And safety is great in business because everyone will like you. They'll sign off your ideas, they'll give you the green light, they'll probably give you budget to do the same thing again and again and again. And safety has a lot of fans. Now, if anyone knows me, you probably know what's going to happen now. I'm not going to talk about learning or training or anything. What I want to do instead is talk about 1965 on a summer's evening in July at a place called Newport in America. A young man took the stage with an electric guitar. And he shocked the world, because this is the first time that Bob Dylan played with an amplified band. Bob Dylan's fans expected him to carry on writing protest acoustic folk songs for the rest of his life. But Dylan had other ideas and turned up and made a hell of a lot of noise and pissed a lot of people off. But one of the songs he played that night was Like a Rolling Stone. And that song has gone on to probably be one of the most iconic rock songs of all time, ever. And it's such a powerful thought to think that he did that himself through driving and despite the expectations of others. And that's the whole point of me talking about Dylan, apart from being able to play Dylan and just sort of, why not? It's sort of one of the coolest moments in music history for me. But the big part is that he didn't let other people's expectations limit what he was doing. And that's kind of where I feel like we're at right now, where we're in this retreat mode and everyone's playing safe. And actually, what we really, really need to do is just be brave, be bold. Don't let those external factors, Brexit, okay, everyone's business is going to get screwed somewhere or other. But we need to focus on what we're doing and focus on how you're going to change that and what you can do within it. And that's part of our approach at MediaZoo, is looking at just to flip your philosophy, focus on the approach you're doing and how you kind of do these things to make a difference in where you can and not to worry so much about the external bits. And so, I love this fact this is still playing. Basically, so what I'm going to do in the next couple of minutes is take you through 3 quick things of part of the MediaZoo philosophy of why, like every agency, we're a bit different and we do things differently. And then, sorry? Okay. Really are in 1965 again. And then also, if we've got time, I want to show you a video about what it means for us at MediaZoo to help transform culture with training content. So we've got a pretty simple 3-part philosophy. We've got way more. I love models and systems, and I could bore you all day about that if we had time. But the 3 key aspects of what we do that make a big difference are kind of up here. So we're all about asking better questions for better outcomes. I stole this from EY, by the way. It's such a great advertising campaign. But that's the truth. If you want to know what you need to achieve, you need to ask questions, dig in, analyse, and not just accept that brief as a fact. And we're awful to work with, and Rob will tell you, we just keep asking questions. But we want to know where you're at and what you need to do. And we're not afraid to ask those slightly more difficult questions. Unleash the power of storytelling. And that's huge. And then supporting change through experiments. 3 things, but they can make a massive difference to the way that you approach everything you do. So asking better questions, as a saying, why does this content need to exist? Why are you coming to me? Why are you offering to give me money to do this? I need to understand what you're trying to achieve. And that might be for measurable reasons, for cultural, business, whatever. But we need to be able to tell that story because, one, the business needs to know so you can paint a bit of value, not ROI. But also the people, because you need to get them engaged, you need to get them to care. Who are your audience? So we spend a lot of time up front with that consultative approach, exploring the reasons why. Not to sound like Simon Sinek, but that is so important to us because we can then start to work out, here's where you begin, here's where you end, and how do we get you along that journey to unlock those things? And without that, we're just making content for content's sake, and there's nothing more heartbreaking than creating something for someone when you don't think it needs to exist. So that's really at the heart of our purpose and passion of what we create, is making things that should be there and need to be there. Storytelling. I don't even think I need to say much about it. Just the word just reminds me of when I was a kid and sent to bed, and I'd run upstairs and had my torch and reading all night until I got caught. You just get lost in the characters. We as humans were designed to connect via storytelling, and if you read any psychology or read Sapiens or chimp management and things like that, we developed as a species and we were able to survive because we're able to tell stories. We connect at an emotional level on stories and narratives, and it's one of the most powerful ways that we can actually transfer information. And why do we then just give bullet points on a slide and tell people here's information, expect them to learn it? It's a real fundamental kind of failing of L&D that we think pushing information at people will help. But by using storytelling, and at MediaZoo we've got professional filmmakers and narrative type people and script writers, and we love to put stories through everything we do because it just has so much more impact and it's so much more enjoyable. And no matter who you are, no matter how senior, no matter how old or young or what industry you work in, pretty much all of us are hardwired to connect with storytelling. And that's why that's so powerful for us. And then the third part is experiments, because experiments are fun. But scientific method, and I don't know anything about science, so I'm going to be careful what I say here, but having a hypothesis, kind of looking for something to measure, build a prototype to test it and see what happens. Such a powerful way. It's been proven for hundreds and hundreds of years to make massive changes in society. And yet we're just picking up on that through kind of software and digital development. And we're trying to run that through what we do. So that even if it fails, we're going to have pretty good feedback on where it's failed or why, or how it hasn't moved anything so we can improve it. And if it works well, you've got another measure to actually make it better and amplify it. And so what we tend to do at MediaZoo, and with our digital content especially, is try and work with prototypes that could get out, you can get them pilot and test and get feedback and play with and kind of understand. And so you're just kind of slowly iterating through a development stage. So we're not trying to change the world in one hit because we know it's not going to work. But what we can do is do version 1, version 2, version 3 and get better every single time. That might be version of the product, it might be project by project by project. But for us, it's a huge kind of piece to go on that journey with you and with our own people. And we play with things, experiment, and it's about that mindset of continuous improvement. And I didn't want to say that, but and talk about resilience and all those cool kind of neuroscience-y things. But it's all based around this idea of just constantly pushing and changing and seeing what can happen. And that is kind of our philosophy of who we want to be with the people we work with. We want to be partners for change. And we're really lucky to work with really innovative, smart people like Mr. Nunn from Grosvenor, who's totally transforming the way they offer L&D in their business. And we're doing the same with HSBC, with Nikki back there as well. And also Santander and NSPCC and some other really, really cool clients. You can buy your training from anywhere. If you come to us, we're going to hopefully help you try and do it a little bit differently and kind of make change. But it's about being partners. It's about collaboration, growth, and change over time. And so that's kind of the heart of what we do and what we believe in at MediaZoo. And this is a little bit of a humble brag. It's not very humble, actually, to be fair. I don't know, Pink last night at the Brit Awards compared herself to Fleetwood Mac and David Bowie. I'm not going to do quite the same, but we've had a pretty good year. 2 years ago, when I took over the head of the team, we weren't really very well known. But this year, we thought we'd try and enter some awards and see what happened. Learning Technologies Awards, we actually got bronze for Company of the Year, beaten by Learning Pool in Sponge, who are much, much bigger than us and been around for ages and doing loads of stuff. I'm so proud of that. We got an award for Technology and Compliance working with the Tesco project. Training Journal Awards, we got Best Onboarding Programme with Tesco, Best Training Partnership with Santander. The LPI Awards the other week, we got silver for Learning Provider of the Year. I'm not going to tell you who beat us. We got a silver for Best Onboarding Programme at the LPI Awards. The EVCOM Awards, which are film-based, we got an award for Best Use of Education and Training, and Excellence in CSR. And the big one in the middle, I was lucky enough in September to go to Cannes, to go to the same hotel that they do the famous awards in for the Cannes Corporate Film Awards, which is a bit less sexy. But we picked up 2 golds for a film with Santander and a gold and a silver for a film with NSPCC. And then we got a bit drunk and thought the night was over. And the last award of the night is the Grand Prix, which is the winner of the overall event. And we won that film. And the fact that no British agency had ever won the Grand Prix at Cannes Corporate, and the agency that won it was Media Zoo, and it was my training team, and it was a training film. Was just unbelievable. And the budget was quite small compared to kind of the film. We were going up against Lego and people like that who had hundreds of thousands of pounds. And the really powerful thing about that film is it completely encapsulates the power of how you can transform culture with L&D when you ask the right questions and push the right buttons and challenge the right things. And if we've got a few minutes, have we got time? Cool. This could be a little bit difficult to watch, and I don't apologise for it, but this is an example of what we can do in partnership with a client with a great brief who's brave and wants to challenge things. Oops.
Thank you for calling Santander. You speak with Emily in Sheffield. Can I take your name, please?
Mr. Vinton, R-E-N-T-O-N.
How is it I can help? How can I help?
I just came out of hospital. I've had a pain lot. And I can't remember how I pay me rent, kept me banging. Don't know if I've got a card or what.
Right, okay, do you know what your stock code and account number is?
My account number.
Sorry?
Did you say my account number?
Account number and sort code.
Sort code is 90127.
Yeah?
Hang on a second. I've just had a minute ago. Oh, he's here. Oh, no. No, can you just hang on a bit, please? I'm sorry.
That's fine. Do you have a 5-digit security number that you'd use for telephone, internet and mobile banking?
No, I haven't.
So you've not received anything in the post at all for that? Not at all?
No.
Right, so I can ask you some different questions then, but I will need to get you this number sent back out for security reasons. Do you have an active Santander debit or credit card?
No.
You don't have any cards with Santander at all?
Remember if I've got a card or not, that's what I'm phoning for. You see, I've just had a pain clot. I'm a bit upside down at the moment. I can't remember if I pay the rent by, or get me banging by card or what.
I understand, Mr. Renton, but these are security questions for me to be able to discuss the account with you.
Yeah.
So you're not sure whether you have a card or not?
No, I'm not.
What's your date of birth?
June the 4th, 1940.
Do you have any bank statements on that you could check at all, or?
I haven't got any yet. I'll tell you the truth. I can't find anything. I've got a statement there which tells you the card, you know, my account number and that. And sort code.
Right. And is there any transactions on the back of that?
It says important messages and things like that. It says direct debit cash paid from here 2017 to 20.
So are you able to confirm for me an active direct debit or spending orders for you for your account? Right, so if you're unable to answer those questions, Mr. Renton, we're unable to pass security over the telephone today.
Yeah, I've been banging with you for nearly 40 years. So I just want to know how I pay. That's all.
Mr. Renton, we haven't been able to pass security today over the phone.
All right. So what do I do now?
So that was a real phone call. And as I say, it's a very brave brief from a client about vulnerable customers. The point of that film wasn't to tell people how to treat vulnerable customers, because they've been doing it for 10 years and they were still doing things like that. And the operator on the call went by the script and didn't necessarily do anything wrong. And the point then of this film is to create a question that goes wider than training, wider than your line managers, right up to the top about the strategy of the business and saying, well, actually, why can't I deviate off the script to help a customer who clearly needs help? And that, I think, just encapsulates what we can do with L&D, given the opportunity and asking the right questions. So that's kind of all I wanted to talk to you about today. Thank you very much for the time. And it's lunchtime nearly, isn't it? So
plenty of time for questions.
Okay, and questions, if anyone.
So what did happen? It said to be continued. What?
Yes, so this is part of a series of films we're making. Mr. Renton did, basically, he got picked up from that call, and then someone from his local branch contacted him, and so we managed to solve his problem. So we've actually got a Finding Mr. Renton film that follows up on that. It's slightly less dramatic.